Okay, friends. Happy Wednesday. I see a bunch of you in the chat already. I love it. Welcome, Clifton. Welcome, Fly Ride. Welcome, Bina. Welcome, Treboy, Nathan, Chris, Zan the Man, Simple Option Trading. Leave me a comment in the chat. Let me know that you can see and hear me and that you are ready to dive into a conversation today about when your launch flops, when you've had a launch. And that's what we're talking about. If you've ever gotten into this space, and obviously you are, the risk of selling something online is like, well, what if nobody buys it? You know, like what if I launch something and nobody buys it? Focus this thing. That's like the worst, because you're putting yourself out there and you're like, you're working hard on something you believe in that you think will help people, and you've outlined it, you've hopefully researched it, you've filmed it, you've uploaded it to Kajabi or whatever your platform is. You've like written launch emails, you've done all the work, and if nobody buys it or not enough people buy it, it feels like a total failure. So let me know in the chat if you've ever felt that. Looking like we're ready to rock. Hair by Chris Bex is here. Awesome. Cool. Before we dive into the conversation, we are talking about online courses. I want to go ahead and give you another resource. I've been mentioning it lately. If you haven't already, grab it. My 6-figure course checklist. This is great if you are launching online courses. You don't want to miss this. Sort of a step-by-step plan to get your course so it's at a place where everybody wants to buy it. Make sure that it's going to be a perennial bestseller, how to launch it, and then some of the biggest mistakes that I've made in launching courses over 12 years. So grab it for free. You can click on the link below as well. GrahamCochran.com/6-figure course. Want you to have that resource. Okay. So this is a great conversation because there was someone in my community, my 6-figure coaching community, who just posted, hey, I had a launch. Again, I won't name names, doesn't matter. But if you're in the community, just had a course launch and it was a flop. And I think he made one sale and he was really disappointed. So in my community, we're sharing a lot. We're sharing wins. We're sharing losses. The wins are great. We love the wins. The losses, frustrating. And what I love is that my community is honest enough where we can share our losses and then we can try to workshop and help each other out. So there's a good conversation going on in the 6-figure coaching community right now about it. But I thought I would address it because this is a real pain point for people. And there's nowhere to talk about this stuff. No one online is talking about their failures or their flops. Everyone's standing in front of a Lamborghini with stacks of cash, or a private jet would be even better, with stacks of cash, and talking about how they're making all this kind of money and how it's easy and how you can make all this kind of money. And the problem is it's not that simple. Sometimes you don't win. Sometimes your products flop. And there could be a lot of reasons. So what I want to do in today's episode is walk you through some things to consider if you just launched something and it bombed. Some questions you need to ask yourself, some things to consider, and then what can you do moving forward? Because without coaching you directly, it's hard to know exactly why it bombed. So I'm going to go through all of that, and then what we can do is open it up for questions. But if this has ever been something you've been afraid of or dealt with, then this is going to be a great episode for you. So the first thing we have to ask is, was it actually a bomb? Did it actually fail? I know you think it failed, but did it actually fail? Because you can measure this statistically. What I mean by this is, did it just fail your expectations and your hopes? But was it actually a success statistically when we're talking about conversion rates? Because there can be a difference. Let me tell you a story, and then I'll give you a simple framework for this. A few years ago, my wife, Shay, one of her friends, reached out to her and said, hey, I launched a course to my list. It's my first ever course, and it flopped. My people love me. I felt like it was what they wanted. I launched it. It was a total flop, and we've lost a bunch of money. And I know your husband sells online courses. Is there any chance that you could get me on the phone with him and I could just pick his brain? So my wife got me in touch with her friend. We jumped on a call. Her and her husband were on the call together. And so I'm talking to them. I've never met them before. And so I'm asking a lot of questions. Okay, tell me about the course. Tell me about your audience. Tell me about all this kind of stuff. And she had to be fair, she had made $20,000 in her launch. Now, before you say, oh, that's not a failure, that's amazing. It sounds like amazing. Remember, everyone's numbers are relative. $20,000 on a launch for me would be pretty low. For her, it would have been great, except for it cost her $20,000 to build, film, and market the course. Okay. She rented out a studio. She had a film crew to do it professionally. That cost money. Put it all together, and then she ran Facebook ads. So if you do the math, you spend $20,000 and you make $20,000. That's a lot of work to make nothing. She could have sat at home on her butt and played, Nintendo Switch, and she would have made the same amount of money. So obviously she was disappointed. The disappointment is real. I wasn't trying to talk her out of her disappointment. She made nothing in the end. The follow-up question I had was, okay, how many copies of your course did you sell? She told me that number. Okay. How many people are on your email list? She told me that number. I did some quick calculations. I said, okay, well, technically you had a good launch. Technically, for your size list, you should have made $20,000 based off of how much this course sells for. So you actually didn't bomb the launch. You hoped you were going to make more, but you actually were hoping for too much. And what statistic am I using? Well, it's very simple. When you have an email list and you're going to launch a product, you're going to email it out to your whole list and say, I got this new course, new membership, new whatever. You should be banking on average to convert 0.5% to 1% of your email list. That would be a solid launch. Not the best launch in the world, but a solid launch. Yes, you heard me correctly. 0.5% to 1% is your benchmark to know if your product is converting or not. That is much lower than what most people expect, maybe much lower than what you were expecting. So the question is very simple. What should you expect when you launch? And did you meet those expectations, or did you just make up a number in your head? Oh, I want to make $5,000, or I want to sell 100 copies. Great, but that's just all random. You have to go with what statistically will work. If it's a good offer, it should convert at 0.5% to 1% as your bare minimum. It can do more, and obviously you want to do more, but that's not always necessary for it to be a good launch. So you look at the numbers. If you have an email list of 100 people, you should look to sell 1/2 of a course to 1 course. Which means if you have 100 people on your email list and you send out a bunch of emails to promote it and nobody buys, it may not be a flop. It may be that really you needed to have 200 people on your list to sell 1 to 2 copies. That would have been 0.5 to 1%. It's just too small of a sample size to know. It could be that nobody wanted it, or it could be that it's exactly what you expected. If you have 500 people on your list and you sell 5 copies, I would say that is a successful launch. That's 1% of your list. But you obviously probably wanted to sell more than 5 copies. Unless each copy costs $1 million, you might be disappointed. So the first question you have to ask is, was it actually a bomb? You have to look at not how much money you made, but how many copies of your product, how many conversions did you get versus the number of people on your list. Not the number of people that made it to your sales page, not the number of people that open an email, but the number of people on your list. Okay, so make sure you are looking for that 0.5% to 1% of your email list conversion rate. Let's then assume, because that might be some of you, is, oh, it actually wasn't a bomb. It was statistically low, on target, I should say, from an email list size. When some of my students hear that, you know what they realize? Crap, my email list is too small. Yeah, that's why you should always be building your email list. A lot of people launch too soon, or if you launch soon, that's fine. Just don't have grandiose expectations for how much money you're going to make. Realistically, you need a lot of people on your list. They need to be engaged, and you need to put offers in front of them. So that might be you. You might be right where you need to be, but you just need more people on your list. But if you actually didn't reach 0.5% to 1%, then I think it is a bomb. Okay. And then here are 6 reasons why it might have bombed. You ready for it? Number 1, price. Could be too expensive or too cheap, ironically. Now that sounds hard to believe, but sometimes things sell better when you increase the price. So it could be that it's just the wrong price point. That happens for any kind of product in any kind of industry. There's something called price elasticity, right? Like an elastic band, it can stretch. So can your prices. You can stretch them up or down. It's all about finding what is the sweet spot price for your product. And we don't always know that out the gate. We make an educated guess. We have to figure that out over time. So could be price. It could be a lack of urgency. Did you give them a real reason to buy now when you did a launch? If there's no scarcity, if there's no urgency, you're not going to get as many sales. It's just the way it is. Human nature. Humans can look at something and say, oh, I want that. Oh, this seems like a good deal. Oh, but I'll just buy it next week. If it's always available next week, if the offer is available next week, there's no reason for them to buy now. Then they are not going to probably buy because they're busy with their own life and people get distracted and, they just move on with their lives. It is our job as marketers of our own products to not only give them a compelling reason to buy, but a compelling reason to buy now. So maybe you didn't have enough urgency in your offer. Number 3 reason it might have bombed. It could have been a lack of pre-launch hype or pre-launch buildup. This was my experience for years. I would just email out, hey, buy my new course, and it would sell a few copies. I had no idea that I was missing out on something that, Jeff Walker talks about. Pre-launch is an actual part of the launch process. It's the whole week before or 2 weeks before, or sometimes months before. Lately, on the Recording Revolution side of things, my marketing team has been experimenting for the last 2 years with super long buildups where they're doing email pre-launch for 2, 3, sometimes 4 weeks in advance of a course dropping. Why? Because it whets the appetite. It gets people thinking about the need, the challenge, the pain point, the desire. Yeah, I do want that. It's something that Jeff Walker talked about, sort of the sideways sales letter. Instead of, doing all the sales copy heavy lifting on the sales page, do it over time. So you're talking about the opportunity they have, the pain point. You're doing this long before the doors are open to buy. You're doing this with pre-launch content and buildup. Maybe you didn't have enough pre-launch buildup to get to a point where people are like, oh, I have to have this. Number 4, maybe it's not a compelling enough offer. Like maybe the offer just isn't good. I'm not saying the product necessarily yet. I'm just saying the offer. Sometimes an offer isn't all about just here's my product, here's the price. It's what else do you get with it? And have you positioned it in such a way that the offer seems to be like a no-brainer? I have to have this thing. Offers aren't necessarily the product. If you look at the way Kajabi, for example, is set up, there's 2 separate sections in Kajabi. You have your products that you build and you have your offers. Offers aren't the same thing as products. Sometimes they could be at its most basic, but an offer could also be a bundle of products. It could be the product plus a community plus downloadables plus 30-minute call with you. What can you do to sweeten the pot to make the offer itself compelling? Number 5, it could just be bad positioning or bad sales copy. Could be a great offer, could be a great price, could be a lot of urgency, but maybe your sales copy just doesn't work. If people bought it, they might go, oh my gosh, this is amazing. But if you're not doing a good enough job communicating how this offer will help change their lives, remove a pain point, help them overcome a challenge or hurdle, help them achieve a desired result or a goal, it could just be bad sales copy. That's why copywriters get paid a lot of money, because it's the words you use that can make a big difference. Or number 6, the final reason why it could have bombed is that it's just not what your people want or need. And that goes back to researching before you ever build something and sell it, making sure you have a pulse on what people want or need. Okay, those are the 6 reasons why it could have bombed. Now, a couple of things you should be checking when you look at your launch emails that went out to get a little bit more data too. Like if I were coaching you one-on-one, this is what we'd be looking at. We'd open up your emails and I would want to look at the open rate. Like, did people open your emails? As compared to your normal emails, if you send out free content every week normally, and people are opening those emails and they're engaging with your content, let's say you have a traditional open rate of 30%. Okay, so you can look at it and be, yeah, Graham, the last 6 months worth of my normal weekly free emails, I'm averaging 30% open rate. If your emails only got like a 20% open rate for the launch promo, that tells me something. That tells me that the email subject lines weren't really compelling. You were missing out on something. So people didn't buy because they didn't even get into your emails. You lost a third of your typical opens. That's a third of the people, 33% of your people aren't really seeing the offer. They're not even opening the email. So if your open rates are low, okay, well, let's look at what your email subject lines were and think that through. Let's say your open rates were healthy. They were in the same average for your typical emails. Look at your click rates. Click rates on your free content. Click rates are always low, so they're always abysmal. But let's say like when you send out your latest video, your open rate's 30% and your click rate's 3%, and that would be pretty good actually, as depressing as that sounds. But if you find that your open rates are 30% on your launch emails, but your click rate is less than 1%, interesting. Maybe the emails didn't do a good enough job making a compelling case to even check out the product. Your click-through rates on a paid-for offer are going to be lower than a free thing because they know they're being taken to a sales page. So don't be concerned if those are lower. But if you're not getting 1 to 2% click-through rates to your sales page, that means they don't even want to see the offer, right? So that could be a problem in your emails and the way you're positioning it. So those would just be some stats to look at. And again, we would have to go back and forth if I was coaching you, but take a look at that data and then see where you stand on some of that. Okay, let's move into 5 things you can try to do. If you found, going back to the very first question, was it actually a bomb? Meaning you converted less than 0.5% of your email list. Again, if you converted a 0.5 to 1%, it was not a bomb. And then none of this applies. If you're converting 1% of your email list, you have a winner. You don't have to change anything. Okay? That's why I had to start with this. I don't want you to fiddle with things and change things if you converted at 1%. You might be able to convert a little higher, so you could optimize a bit, maybe with the sales copy. But if you're converting at 1%, you have a winner. You just need more people to see your offer. There's no reason to go changing things and messing with the magic. To give you an idea, my course, Automatic Income Academy, inside of my funnel now, it converts on Evergreen at about 1.6, 1.7%. That's phenomenal. I'm happy with that. If I want to make more money, I need more opt-ins on my list or more upsells or, things like that. So let's assume that you did bomb though. You're converting less than 0.5% of your email list. If that is true, again, just look at the number of people that your emails went out to at the time of your launch. Did you have 1,000 people on your list? Then that's the number of people. And then how many people bought? Not how much money, but how many copies did you sell? So you take the number of copies you sold. This is basic math. If you sold 10 copies and you had 1,000 people on your list, you go 10 divided by 1,000. That gives you your percentage rate. And you're looking for 0.5% to 1%. Okay, here's 5 things you can try if you actually did bomb. Number 1, this is the simplest thing you could do, and almost nobody does this. Email your list and ask, why didn't you buy? Okay, if you launched Monday through Friday, doors closed Friday night at midnight, it's now Monday or Tuesday the following week, send out an email to everyone who didn't buy, which it might be everyone, and say, hey, quick question for you. I want to help me out. And it says, I noticed you didn't buy my course, whatever. No problem if you don't think it's a good fit, but I would just love to know, why didn't you buy? Let me know. I read every response. Not everyone's going to get back with you, but some people will say, oh, it was the price, or, oh, I didn't even know you were selling something, or, oh, it didn't look like it was something for me. I'm more of a beginner and it looked advanced, or whatever it would be. Ask people, why didn't you buy? The best companies do this. They survey, they ask, hey, why didn't you buy? How do we know unless we ask? So ask people, why didn't they buy? You'll get a lot of good information. Even if 10 people respond to you, that'd be amazing. Get some helpful information. Second thing you can try, go and study sales copy and then rate your own sales page. Like if you're writing sales copy blind without any kind of education on sales copy, good luck. Now, don't hear me wrong. You do not have to be a sales copy wizard. You do not need to hire a professional copywriter. I mean, you can if you have the money and you just don't want to deal with it. But go read like Ray Edwards, How to Write Copy That Sells, right? Go to, I'll give you another resource. Let me see what the actual URL is for this. I have a sales copy framework. GrahamCochran.com. I got to remember these darn URLs. /copy. Yeah, go to GrahamCochran.com/copy. Okay. Another free guide for you. It's my 5-minute sales copy framework. Study that. What that's going to do is ask you questions and you just write the answers to the questions. But those questions are built on a formula, built on important elements your sales copy needs to be compelling. Go use that as a resource. So if you haven't studied any kind of sales copy, you need to understand the foundations of how humans work, human psychology, what they're looking for. And most people's sales pages are hideous, not the way they look, but they're all about the product. This product is great. It has 20 hours of HD content. It's packed with all this stuff. I'm really important and smart, blah, blah, blah. None of that sells, right? None of that sells. What sells is identifying with people's pains and desires and then showing them and educating them that you've figured out a better way to do it, that the ways they've tried before aren't working and you've got a better way, and teach them that way and show them that way. And oh, by the way, that way is best learned in my product. And oh, by the way, I'm going to stack value. And oh, by the way, if you don't buy it, here's your future. If you do buy it, here's your future. And oh, by the way, I'm going to take away all the risk through a risk-free guarantee. And oh, by the way, here's what you're going to learn. Here's some juicy bullets. Oh, by the way, here's people that have taken it before and what they've gotten, results they've gotten with it. I mean, these are all things that lead to sales, right? So whether it's long, whether it's short, whether it's video, whether it's text, none of that matters, right? What matters is the words you use and are you speaking their language? So study some sales copy and then go compare, do the hard work of studying it, what works from the greats. You know, read Jay Abraham, getting all that you can out of all that you've got. That book is fantastic, right? So much gold in there about selling, being a salesperson, what makes people buy. One thing that Jay Abraham says that I try to repeat over and over again is the brands that best can articulate their customers' problems to them are the brands that are going to win. That's sales copy in a nutshell. Like if you can word for word tell your audience what they struggle with, and people are going to be like, he gets me, she gets me. They feel understood. They're going to nod their head, yes, yes. And now they'll pay attention to what else you have to say. So study sales copy and then go write your own sales page and have the guts to do it, because your sales page probably wasn't good. Mine sure weren't for years. So it could be the sales copy. So ask your list, why didn't they buy? Straight up. Study sales copy. Just read a book on sales copy. You'll be light years ahead of most people who don't read books, period, and don't ever learn anything. They're just like, oh, I got Kajabi and I made a sales page. It didn't work. Well, did you study sales copy at all? Just read a book. That'll help you tremendously. Don't read all the books. Just read a book and then go write another sales page. Number 3, try a different price point. Again, one of the reasons it could have bombed is price. It could be too expensive. I'll give you an example. I had a course called Total Home Recording. I launched it in 2015. My launch did well. I think it did like $40,000 when I launched it. It was on a higher end price point for me. I tried to make it a higher price point for back then. Like back then I was selling courses for like 97, 147. Those were the bread and butter courses, still are, for the recording revolution. I launched this at 297. I had a good offer at launch, some good urgency, some good bonuses that went away. I think that's why I converted, and it was new. So my super fans bought and there was some urgency, but I found that when I put it in my funnel, it was not converting at 297, not very well. So then we tried to run a discount. We did a flash sale, maybe Black Friday, and we offered that course at 50% off. So at 147, it crushed. Okay. So maybe this course sells better by itself at half the price I wanted to sell it at. Boo-hoo for me. We figured it out. We've kept it in our funnel with a 50% off coupon code that goes away. And that has sold much better. So sometimes it's price. Try a different price point. Just because you launched at a price doesn't mean you can't relaunch it at a lower price or a higher price. I've done both. There's no rules. You're never locked in. So try a different price point. Number 4, try a different launch strategy next time. A lot of times I'll see my students say, I launched it and it didn't sell well. Well, what did you do in your launch? Like if I were coaching you, I would ask you to walk me through every element of your launch. What did your content look like on your blog and your YouTube channel and your podcast during the week before launch week? What did your pre-launch content look like? Did you have a webinar? Did you do a 3-part video workshop? Was it all email? Like what was your pre-launch? Let me look at your launch emails. How many emails did you send? What emails did you send? What did you send on the last day? Okay, going back to the girl in the very first story I told you who thought her course bombed. She sold 20 grand worth. She thought it was a bomb because she was expecting a lot more, but it was statistically a good conversion rate for her. One of the things I found out also for her is that she tried to segment her list. She was told by somebody who she thought was smart that she should do a webinar on the topic, and then whoever registers for the webinar, only send the launch to those people. People who didn't register for the webinar clearly, quote unquote, aren't interested in that topic, so don't launch to those people. And I said, oh my gosh, what are you doing? So you're saying you've got like 90 to 95% of the rest of your list didn't even get the launch. Didn't even get the launch. You're already assuming they don't want to buy it because they didn't register for the webinar. How do you come to that conclusion? There's a lot of reasons why someone wouldn't register for your webinar. They don't think they're going to be able to make it. They hate webinars. They didn't see the emails about the webinars. There's a million reasons why. You should always launch to your whole list, unless you are a rare exception where you have 2 to 3 very different segments that really should be different lists, period, and the product isn't relevant to them at all. I'm not a fan of segmentation because it assumes a lot, and it gives people an opportunity to say no. Here's how you segment. Let them segment for you. You send an email. If they're not interested, guess what? They're not going to open it. Fine. That's self-segmentation. You don't have to make that decision for them. So maybe you just overly segmented your list. Like if I were coaching you, I would ask you questions like that and be like, bro, why don't you send all these emails to everybody? Okay. So maybe it's your launch strategy. If you launched with a webinar this time, maybe you're not good at webinars. Maybe people didn't want to come because they thought it's live. And some of my people hate webinars. They hate when I do a webinar because like, well, I can't come. I live in Australia and none of the times you do work. Okay. I hear you. So sometimes the 3-part video workshops that they can watch on demand whenever they want during pre-launch week, sometimes those are better. So try that next time, or vice versa. And number 5 thing you can try, if it's still not selling, when you've changed price, you've done a better launch strategy, you've got better sales copy, anything else that you've asked your list why they didn't buy, you've implemented. If it's still not selling by itself, try bundling it with something else or stuffing it into some other offer. And I'll give you an example. I launched my course, Automatic Income Academy, 3 years ago. And it's designed for everybody who wants to build an online business, mostly for people who haven't launched yet. Some people who don't know their idea at all. So it's perfect for absolute beginners starting from zero. And then a lot of people who've been creating content, but they've never launched their product and they haven't figured out how to make it work. It's for them as well. I wanted to make a follow-up course. I had people who'd gone through that course and students who didn't need the course because they already had launched, but they were looking for more advanced stuff. And I was hearing people say, hey, I'm making money, but I would love to double what I'm doing. But I don't want to run ads. Graham, I know you don't believe in running ads. What am I missing? How can I scale this thing? So from my research, it seemed like people were saying, I need to grow things. And I had a segment of my people, probably smaller, but a good segment that needed more advanced strategies. And so I built a course called Double Your Sales. Double Your Sales is founded on 6 levers that you can pull to increase revenue whenever you want without running paid traffic. Actually, without adding any traffic. So it's built on the premise that whatever your leads are that you're getting right now, instead of me telling you go grow your opt-ins or grow your traffic, here's 6 levers you could pull or 6 dials you could dial right now that could increase your revenue with your current amount of traffic right now. And if you dial up all 6 levers, if each one of them gives you a 20% boost in revenue per dial, you'll more than double your sales without adding any more traffic. That's the premise of the course. Yeah, it sounds dope, right? Because it is dope. Built this course, sold it stupid cheap. It's even cheaper than Automatic Income Academy. Because it's not as long, it's not as big of a thing, but it's just like, hey, I wanted to make it a stupid deal. I knew the price was good. I knew it's what people wanted. I felt confident with the sales copy. Actually, I enjoy the sales copy for that product. I think it's more compelling than even Automatic Income Academy. Launched it. and I didn't come close to hitting my benchmark. It didn't even come close to 0.5% of my list. So confused. Um, and talking to people that bought it, loved it. People that didn't buy it, when I talked to them, they were like, "Oh, I didn't think I needed it. Like it just seemed too advanced for me." Too advanced. So I realized in talking to my people and the launch bombing that, and knowing that the content was working, I was getting testimonials from the people that took it. Like, oh my gosh, I'm doubling my revenue. This is working. I'm like, okay, the product's good. People are saying they thought it was too advanced. Either my people need to catch up and I need to have more advanced people on my list and then I can launch this thing again, or I need to put it somewhere else. And so what I decided to do is move it into my membership that I launched later that year, my six-figure coaching community. So I have a membership, Graham's six-figure coaching community. It is for people who have already launched, who want to scale and grow. And so I decided to cut my losses and take a chance on giving the course away for free to people who pay to join my membership as a bonus, as a gift, as an incentive to sweeten the offer of my membership, because it's actually perfect content for them. It's the type of content they should have. And so I'm taking a loss on the front end because I'm not selling it individually, but I think I'm winning on the back end because I'm giving so much value to my members. And if they cancel the membership, they lose access to that course. So just an example for you. Maybe the product, you already have the asset, and if it's good and people that bought it are loving it and getting results, maybe you just need to bundle it with something else or put it in a different offer. There's a lot of ways to reposition your material. Okay, I covered a lot. That was a lot to talk about. So I want to open up to questions about, again, if you fail to launch, bomb the launch, want to help you out. We can go for about 15 minutes or so. I'll do the best I can. Some good conversation happening about sales copy over here. Somebody says, too much hype and sales copy will cost you sales. I don't know what you mean by that. If it's fake hype, possibly. Some people get turned off by that. But good sales copy shouldn't be hype. It should just be communicating in a persuasive way to people. Ander says, I get 14 to 15% click rate on my emails. That is freaking amazing. Chris says, Graham, I'm planning out a course on how musicians can monetize their skills in a variety of ways. Would you go with the more affordable price, around $197, or something more premium? I mean, Chris, it's up to you. I don't know why you would go with a more affordable price if you're selling something that people can use to make money. I feel like you would be able to charge more than your music courses, because there's more value there. But good question. I did that years ago with my first course. I'm teaching music production courses. They range from 97 to 197 on average. And then I finally launched a course on how to turn your recording studio into a side business. And I sold that for $600 because it was worth a lot more than a course on how to make music, because it could actually make them money. Marcus says, what are a couple of good questions to ask your list about what went wrong? Should I send to the whole list or just the people who showed interest, webinar sign up? Sorry, let me put this on the screen. Yeah, good question, Marcus. I would send it to the whole list of people who didn't buy. So just say, hey, because you want as many responses as possible. Hey, noticed you didn't buy my course. No problem. I'm just trying to make sure that I'm serving you in the best way possible. Could you just tell me in one sentence why you didn't buy? Just hit reply. Let me know. I read every response. Thanks so much. People will really respect you for that because A, you're asking for feedback. And the people that really love you and care about you will tell you. Bina Alexandra says, which are the best strategies that you use to grow your email list in the fastest way? I mean, be prolific with your content and always offer a lead magnet. PDFs and checklists work great for opt-ins and lead magnets because they're easy for people to digest and they just want to download it quickly. Even if they never look at it, they just want to have it. They want that downloadable in their inbox so they can reference it whenever. To grow your list faster, you're going to have to get in front of more people, and guest posting, collaborating with other people who have an audience that is your size or bigger is great. That's the way to shortcut the process for sure. Zan says, thanks for the first 2 chapters of your book. I'll drop a review on Amazon later today. Thank you so much, Zan. Yes, if you guys haven't heard, my book is available for pre-order. I know it's early, comes out in March, but go to grahamcochran.com/book to pre-order your copy. And I'm giving away a bunch of goodies and bonuses if you pre-order and submit your receipt there. You can even read the first 2 chapters instantly. Amner says, your sales copy framework is great, Graham. Also, your 5-day email sequence. I studied that, changed a bit in my funnel, and those emails are converting better. I only sell one-on-one coaching at the moment. Good for you, man. Good for you. Very important questions. Ivan says, do you blow dry your hair? Yes. I've noticed a significant uptick in hair questions in the last 2 months. Well, it's probably because I've been growing my hair out longer. Fly Ride, what's up? I have a new course at 97. My academy is at 497. Not sure which one to focus on for Black Friday sale using Deadline Funnel. I mean, both you can crush doing either one. If you want, like your 497 one, if it were me, I would maybe Deadline Funnel a discount. So sell it for 297 for like 72 hours only or something crazy, right? Or bundle some things together at a discount. I like bundling discounts or selling really expensive things at a discount. Get people to spend more with me, but they know they're getting value. So one thing I've done is like bundle a bunch of my courses together where if they're more comfortable spending 97, but I'm bundling like everything together for 397, they're getting a stupid deal, but they're having to spend $400 with me. I'd rather have those people. So that's one way to think about it. Science grad, school coach. After you launch, do you have a plan for relaunching your course to those who didn't buy but are already on your list, not your evergreen funnel? Yeah, I mean, if it was a successful launch, then and it's an open and closed product, then you want to have a plan to always relaunch. So some products you want to keep in your evergreen funnel. Some products you want to open and close a few times a year or relaunch once a year minimum. So, for example, my membership, right, the 6-figure coaching community, I open and close that twice a year. So I'm always tweaking the launch emails a bit, seeing what works. But I'm in a good rhythm now where it's pretty much plug and play. Every 6 months I do a launch, and so it is in my promotional calendar to re-promote that every 6 months. Whereas Automatic Income Academy is in my evergreen funnel and it's always available. But every once in a while, I will do a special promo for that to my list. Simple option trading. What is a good conversion rate for a reverse launch? Would it be 0.5% to 1% for total attendees? No, you still want to do for the whole list, right? It's a little bit different, but I find that the people that attend convert way higher, but I'm still looking at the total conversion to my whole list. So for example, the reverse course launch is something that I teach in my 6-figure coaching community, but I just did one last month and that converted at 2% of my entire list. And that includes people that never came to the webinar, never got any of the launch emails. So that shows just how high that thing converted to the people that did come. Pencils and stories. Do you already know what price your coaching community is going to be? I want to anticipate on the price and reserve money for it, being in a tight spot financially, but I have no idea of the price. Oh yeah, it's $97 a month or $997 a year. That's my membership. $97 a month. Daryl says pre-ordered the day you launched. Hey, thank you so much. Amner says I'll buy your book in a few days. Thank you so much. Learn English with Debbie. We have to remember also that some try to limit their time online. So the subscribers for your wife's friend could have easily missed the email about the webinar. So yeah, send the offer to everyone. Exactly. Absolutely. Yeah. I think, there's a lot of things, and I'll just say this, there's a lot of things at play when you launch. It's so emotional, right? It's so emotional because we have so much of our identity wrapped up in like, what does this launch say about me as a person? You know what the answer to that question is? Zero. Zero. What your launch does If it blows up, if you make 100 grand on a launch, it doesn't mean you're a great person. If you make $0, it doesn't mean you're a bad person. There's so many things out of our control, and then so many things within our control. And then none of those things have anything to do with who we are as a human being. So I say that to say that people bring a lot of fear and insecurity to their launch. And so when you do launch, there's so much, whether we admit it or not, there's so much emotional weight hanging in the balance. And so we are looking for the sales data to come in to justify us and validate us. Now, that might be big language, but if you do a deep dive into your soul, you'll know that it's true. You know that it's true. So, what I want for you to understand is the cold, hard data is important to know. If it's a good launch, it converted at 0.5% to 1% of your total email list. List, not people who opened, but list, not people who clicked or went to your sales page, but your list. Just know the cold, hard data and look at the data. If it reached that goal, then go celebrate. If it didn't, go through the 6 reasons why it may not have done well and consider which one of those things is the weak point and just try to improve it next time. I've had launches that didn't do anything. I've had launches that have done amazing. I'm not a big fan of launches because you know what? I make more money not launching. I make more money selling automatically every day in an unassuming way because I have perennial bestsellers. Not all of them are bestsellers, but perennial bestsellers that just they convert every day. Sale here, sale there. You wake up in 2 or 3 years, you're making hundreds of thousands of dollars off of this product that you're not even launching. It's just going out automatically. So evergreen sales through automated email sequences based off of content driving a lead magnet opt-in to your list and all that stuff. That's how you build a sustainable business. Launches are real vanity for a lot of us. They're fun or soul crushing. They're great to infuse cash into your business. I'm a fan of having some launch elements and promotions throughout the year. I think you should have a minimum of 4 promotions throughout the year that have urgency baked into them. They don't all have to be launches. One of them could be Black Friday or some kind of holiday sale. But I would rather you focus on building up your email opt-ins, going into a proven funnel that's selling a proven product little by little every single day. Your launch, there's just too much emphasis on launching in this online business landscape that it sets people up to fail. You see people doing $50,000 launches, $100,000 launches. I've been in business for 3 months and I made $300,000 on my first launch. Give me a break. But that's like the smallest percentage people. That is so hard to do. The only way to do that is if you ran a ton of ads and they were perfectly executed and then you spent a lot of money, so then you don't even keep all of that money, or you had some amazing affiliate who had a massive audience. Like nobody, it's really hard to pull that off for anybody, let alone someone that's been in business for a couple of months. So don't pay attention to those people. Just get your product out there, make sure it's a winner, meaning 1% of your list bought it. Then it's solid, and then put it in your funnel. Last couple of questions. Do the Daring Do says, Graham, do you have any general rules of thumb for deciding what content would be good for your YouTube channel versus what would be better suited in a full-on course? Usually it's the same content. Like I'm talking about the same things in my course. So the nature of the content is the same. That's how good content leads to a good sale in your funnel, because they're looking for something. You teach about it in a YouTube video. They opt in for something similar on your lead magnet, and then they hear about a product inside your funnel that's very similar. That's how you're going to sell. The difference is your course is the whole step-by-step process. It's curated, it's linear, it has a progress, element to it. There's access to you inside the back end to answer questions. There's usually downloadables that go with it, and it's way more in depth, and it's built on getting you a specific desired result, whereas a YouTube video is just a one-off. We're talking about one thing. So it's disparate pieces of content that you could watch all my videos or YouTube the whole internet and find a bunch of videos, but you have to cobble it all together, and there's no linear path for people to follow. So similar content, but just different presentation. Nathan says, how many pieces of content do you recommend making each week to consistently have people opt in and join my list? At minimum, 1 great piece of content a week. If you can do more than that, great. So start with 1 a week, and if you can add more, great. Alfred, can you tell me more about researching part? How do you do that? Alfred, go watch my workshop if you haven't already. I'll put it up here. My passive income workshop. Oh, let me take your question off. grahamcocker.com/workshop. The very first part of that workshop talks about my research method of how to figure out if this is a business you should be in. And then that would really apply also to building a product. So if you haven't already watched that, that'd be a great place to start. Scott, guitarist. I'm struggling at the moment to make my platform evergreen. My initial launch was successful, but the attention my YouTube channel had last year is gone. I just keep plugging away. Okay, Scott, I'm really glad you asked this question. First of all, a lot of people's YouTube channels have gone down this year across the board. So there's some tweak to the algorithm. Not everybody's channel. I can't imagine it's everybody, but a lot of people I'm talking to. So that's the problem with always banking on any platform serving you up traffic. That's why you always want to build an email list every day. Get people off the platform onto your list because you never know when that traffic source will dry up. So a lot of that is out of our control. When it comes to YouTube, though, we might have to try some different things, maybe do some collaborations, maybe work with other people, get in front of their channel, their audience. But evergreen does depend on new leads all the time. So try your best to continue to crack the YouTube code based off of what it's doing these days. But guest post, write blog posts, get in front of other people's audiences, try to get some press. If you're not getting anything on YouTube in the meantime, you can jump into free Facebook groups and try to add a ton of value there, like become like the go-to resource in that Facebook group and help people. Don't just promote all the time, just help people. People will click on your thing and figure out what's going on. So, but yeah, there's something going on with YouTube for sure. And especially in a lot of the music spaces, I'm seeing that as well. Fly Ride Chris says, Graham, your mindset session in 6FC, that's my membership, where you mentioned the slower it takes to build, the slower it takes to fail. Yeah. So many people are so obsessed with building really quickly and making money as fast as possible. And what they don't realize is they're going to crash and burn just as fast. If you have a steady, dependable, slow build of a business that gets you there over a few years as opposed to a few months, it's going to last longer. That's what we see in business. So don't be in a hurry. And don't be in a hurry. I'll leave it with that. Don't be in a rush. Don't measure your self-worth or your business's worth even based off of a launch. Launches mean nothing to me. Okay, they mean something in that if you can make some good money, great. What matters is your email funnel that's automated, your evergreen email funnel that's automated. And the way that matters is if you always have new people joining. So focus on your content, get in front of people, get creative, get more people to opt in, and make sure you got a product and an email sequence in there that converts. And that's the last thing I'll say is when you have a launch that does well, it doesn't have to be the best launch ever, but if it does well, then you know you've got something that will work. Then you can put it in your email funnel and just tweak it so that it works, evergreen. And that's going to work for you. And then just ride with that until you've got something better, or you can tweak it or improve it. You don't have to have a great funnel. You just have to have a good enough funnel, right? That's it. I've got a lot of content on the channel about email funnels. So Wahid, go check that out. Email funnels and figure out some of the details to that question. I got to run. This was an amazing call. Thank you all so much for hanging out with me today. Hope this was helpful. Leave me a comment below. Let me know if it was helpful. And make sure you download any of the goodies we talked about, especially the 6-figure course checklist. If you haven't grabbed that already, I think it's going to help you as you're researching, building out a course, launching the course. A lot of good stuff there. Everything I've learned in 12 years of doing this stuff, I try to put it in a free guide for you. So it's free. Might as well grab it. grahamcochran.com/6-figure course. All right, friends, have an amazing rest of your day.